Is the most unusual and incorrect reason you've had the police called on you? 1. My boyfriend and I once got a hotel room for the night, just to hang out and spend time together. We were both in college living at home, and wanted some time away from parents. There was a knock on the door. It was about 5 police officers, ready for action. Quite scary. When out of nowhere you go from canoodling and watching movies, to being frisked and stiflingly questioned, more like accused. Turns out, some very bored, probably paranoid from drugs, nosy neighbors at the hotel had called them saying they heard us planning a robbery, and that we had kidnapped a child and had him held there against his will, and they could hear him calling for help. They also said that they heard us talking about the giant stash of weapons that we had to get the job accomplished. It was quite the story. So good, in fact, that it came straight from a movie. Just so happened, it was the storyline from the movie that my boyfriend and I had rented. Lo and behold, after a good laugh, playing back some scenes from the film, and a check of our room to ensure we didn't have any children tied up, the police wished us a good day and went on their way. They headed straight to the room that had called about us, and gave them a talking to for wasting their time. 2. Was at a shopping mall, when I was approached by 2 local police officers, who asked if I had seen anyone with a gun. Before I could speak, a woman popped out of a shop behind me, and yelled, "That's him. That's the man with the gun." This left the officers and I looking at each other, trying not to laugh. Yes, I did have a gun. Stainless, .357 revolver. In the holster, next to the ammo pouch, handcuff case and radio. I was in complete police uniform, with sleeve patches and a badge. I was a member of the department that provided security for the governor and first family of our state. The first lady of our state was in one of the stores, shopping about 20 feet from me. The lady had called the local police dispatcher, and reported a man with a gun in the mall. 3. I was awakened by urgent pounding on the front door. I rushed downstairs in my underwear thinking the house was on fire or something. 2 officers were standing there. One of them brusquely informed me that it was illegal to do construction without a permit, or at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. "Oh, that darn woodpecker," I replied. "It pecks on the metal flashing on the roof. Sounds just like a jackhammer." A plate of brownies appeared on my front porch later that day, with a sheepish apology from my neighbor. 4. My dad was a complete bastard. He was abusive, and although I repeatedly tried to work through it, and even go as far as go to counseling, he never felt in the wrong for beating me up. Black eye, fractured both wrists, busted my lip, bruised my ear to name a few, and I wanted an apology. I was at his house speaking to him after my grandmother died, and he was pretty drunk at 10 a.m. We got into an argument so I wanted to leave, but he grabbed my purse, not knowing I had to hide a key. Even though my purse had my wallet, phone, money, ID, keys to my apartment etc., I just wanted to get away from him. I'm sitting at the light a few miles away from my dad's house when I notice police running in between the cars in my rear view mirror. I'm looking at them thinking someone is in trouble. Imagine my surprise when the cop points the gun at my head and tells me to get out of the car. I'm confused, but I cooperate. I get out and then he tells me to get on the ground so he can cuff me. It's like nasty dirty black road in a really busy intersection, but I do it. When they get me to the side of the road, handcuffed and out of traffic, I tell them I am not a car thief, that it's in fact my car. They get the registration and insurance out, and also in my registration, I have an extra license. When they saw that, they were very apologetic and told me that my father had called my car in as stolen by a girl that he thinks was armed, and the car belongs to his daughter, who is currently out of town. Now he didn't know I had another ID, so he thought that I'd have no way to prove I am who I am, and I'd get arrested and my car would be impounded, and it would just show me who can make my life hell. Funny thing is, that's illegal. It's called misuse of 911 and they'll arrest you for it. So they let me go and went and arrested my father. The craziest part of this whole thing was my father called me to bail him out. I did not. 5. I was in a mall when I saw a very attractive woman. As a single young man, I was thinking, yeah, talk to her, get her phone number. You'll never see her again if you don't. Needless to say, I approached her. We had a 10-minute conversation. She gave me her number. I was ecstatic. I left the mall and started heading to my car when 3 cop cars pulled up with lights blazing. They jumped out and started asking me a bunch of questions. I told them I had a harmless conversation with a woman and that was the end of it. The cops just chuckled as if to say, "Good job." Apparently the young security guard at the mall called the cops on me as if I was some kind of stalker. This was 10 years ago. I'm still appalled at it. If there was a problem, why didn't the security guard just confront me? What was the use of the cops? I'm an honest guy. If the security wanted me to leave, all he had to do was say so. I would have left. The whole thing was blown way out of proportion. The good news is that the cops realized what was going on and just laughed about the whole thing. I got to meet the girl later for coffee too. It was worth it all. 6. A guy was giving the staff of a KFC a hard time and was very rude with a young, rather shy staff member. I intervened. He got very upset and quite agitated. He called me a swine and a Nazi. He was from Spain. I told him in no uncertain words that I was not berating him because he was from Spain, but because he behaved like an asshole. Out of the blue, he pulled some pepper spray and attacked me. Luckily I was able to dodge most of it, though not all. This will become important later. All this took mere seconds. Bystanders and the poor staffer were not as lucky as I was. Just let that sink, and that guy used pepper spray and hit multiple bystanders, as well as half of the counter full of food. He called the police. They stormed in, berating me and were close to handcuffing me when the restaurant manager stepped in, told the police that I was just protecting his staff member and that he would gladly provide the police and DA with the videotapes. Furthermore, He insisted on eyeing that Spanish guy because he had to close down the shop and would have losses. It was a Saturday evening. So we were both taken for questioning, me as a witness, which took roughly 2 hours, and a lot of waiting. I did not file a complaint, because I was pretty sure that guy was in deep shit anyway. When finally free to go, I went back to the KFC to check on that poor girl. The manager told me that she was treated in a hospital, but already had called him and was feeling much better. Turned out I was right with my assumption that the Spanish guy was in deep shit. The restaurant belonged to a corporate franchisee and was about to sue him. And I finally got a meal and a coffee. When I tried to pay, that manager looked at me as if he wanted to kill me for a second, then winked. Last thing I heard that the Spanish guy is charged with multiple cases of aggravated assault and this and that other stuff. Turned out pepper spray is illegal to use against humans in Germany and considered a dangerous weapon as defined by law. Plus he is being sued by a rather large corporation for damages for 2 hours of a prime evening during prime time. And the corporation will pay all legal fees for the poor girl as a joint plaintiff for damages and compensation. 7. We had a birthday party at McDonald's for my 8-year-old. We had set it up with their party coordinator weeks ahead of time, and invited most of his second grade class. When it came party time, the crowd gathered in the play area. The kids were playing, and we told the staff to start bringing the food. They were out of kids' meals, no toys, or even small cheeseburgers. We had paid a 50% reservation fee based on the number of kids. We asked to talk to the manager, and they said he was out sick. We said, just go ahead and bring out the cake. It was still frozen. So we told the kids and their parents to come back to our house and we would at least have ice cream as he opened the presents. Saved, but not what we envisioned. Finished the party at our house, and everyone seemed to have a good time. Shortly after everyone left, the police showed up. MCDs had reported us for theft of services! As we were talking to the officer, the night supervisor, who was not there when we left, called and demanded we pay the balance. I told her no, and to have her store manager call us to find out why. I explained to the officer what had happened, and he said that since we had made a prepayment, it was not theft, but a business dispute, which is not criminal, and not his jurisdiction. The regional manager called us the next day, full of apologies, and gifted us 2 additional parties, at other stores in the area, at not charge. He also let us know that the manager, night supervisor, and party planner had all been replaced.